Hi, welcome to Take 5, where we daily consider devotional thoughts from Oswald Chambers' book, My Utmost for His Highest. Today is August 10th, and the title of today's devotional is The Holy Suffering of the Saint. Let those who suffer according to the will of God commit their souls to Him in doing good. 1 Peter 4 and verse 19. Chambers opens with, choosing to suffer means that there must be something wrong with you, which would be considered true for those who cut themselves or harm themselves, or of the codependent individual who finds self-worth in the dependence of others upon them. It's not healthy to choose suffering. Righteous suffering is choosing God's will, even if it means you will suffer, which is something very different. The choosing to do God's work, though it involves suffering, is what's experienced by a saint. Chambers' following thoughts tie with this. No normal, healthy saint ever chooses suffering. He simply chooses God's will, just as Jesus did, whether it means suffering or not. Followed by, no saint should ever dare to interfere with the lesson of suffering being taught in another saint's life. It's not the place of the Christian to interfere with the trials for Christ that another is going through, for they could be stealing the experiences intended by God for the individual who is hurting. Some things are only learned through pain. O.C. continues, the saint who satisfies the heart of Jesus will make other saints strong and mature for God, but the people used to strengthen us are never those who sympathize with us. God is not intending for anyone to offer sentiments like, "Oh, bless your heart, this is too hard for you to bear." In fact, O.C. continues, we are hindered by those who give us their sympathy because sympathy only serves to weaken us. The sympathy-giver is not going to help us at all. Chambers says no one better understands a saint than the saint who is as close and as intimate with Jesus as possible. The person who will best help us in times of trial are those who offer strength, not sympathy. The sympathizer serves to make us weak, which is why Jesus refused to condone the words of Peter in Matthew 16. There, Peter tried to argue against Christ when our Lord began telling the disciples of what lay ahead of him in Jerusalem. Peter somewhat rebuked Jesus, at which Christ turned to him and said, "Get behind me, Satan." Jesus needed no words of discouragement that would hinder his heading to the cross. Chambers explains, if we accept the sympathy of another saint, our spontaneous feeling is, God is dealing too harshly with me and making my life too difficult. That is why Jesus said that self-pity was of the devil. A little farther down, O.C. continues, beware of thinking that Jesus needed sympathy during his life here on earth. He refused the sympathy of people because in his great wisdom he knew that no one on earth could understand his purpose. Jesus realized that neither Peter nor any of the other 11 could understand the work for which he had been sent. Words of caution are offered next. We must be merciful to God's reputation. The Christian can easily and quickly make God look bad through saying that God is too hard on them. It's as if the Lord has no awareness as to how much we can bear. The fact is, God does put on us more than we can bear so that we will turn to Him for strength and learn to depend on Him. Proverbs 3 and verse 5. Christians must develop habits of learning to depend on God, not others. To the consideration of the lost, Chambers' next words could offer what almost seems as if a self-fulfilling prophecy. Look at God's incredible waste of His saints according to the world's judgment. Of Dr. Chambers himself, this could seem to be true. A man of absolute theological brilliance, yet God sending him to Egypt to minister through the YMCA, to the troops there. And yet at age 42, dying of a neglected ruptured appendix. The then living Chambers stated, God seems to plant His saints in the most useless places, yet Jesus never measured His life by how or where He was going to be of the greatest use. God places His saints where they will bring the most glory to Him, and we are totally incapable of judging where that might be. Thanks for being here today, and may God's grace and peace be ours as we seek to live our utmost for His highest. See you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye now.